Hey guys, this is Yuvraj once again from Brainstorm Force, and in today's exciting video, I'm going to teach you how to add the local business schema or structured data to your website using Schema Pro. Now, obviously, local business schema has to do with local businesses. So if you're watching this video, then it's likely that you have a local business or you're looking to serve clients that have local businesses and you want to know how to mark up their business correctly so they can have all the benefits of having rich results for their business. So let me show you some of the examples of what are the benefits of having the correct schema for local businesses in Google search. So this is a simple example of a search query in Google, best restaurants in Madrid. So this is a local query because I'm looking for the best restaurants in Madrid, a specific city. So Google shows up with this kind of result, which is called the maps result. And as you can see, it is showing me some of the restaurants that Google thinks are the best in Madrid. And apart from just the restaurant names, there's some rich information about them. You have the reviews, kind of cuisines that they serve, the time they open and close, and some other information about the business as well. Let's take another example. This is another common query that you can have: marketing companies in Amsterdam. Obviously, this query is again a local query because I have searched for marketing companies in Amsterdam. And apart from the ad that is showing up on the first result, you again have a maps result, which is showing me some important information about the businesses that are being listed. So the reviews I can see the contact information, and I can see some other opening and closing times. Here's one more example, a dentist in San Antonio, Texas. And apart from the ads, again, the map results is coming up on the screen, and I can see important information about the businesses, the number of reviews, their addresses, and their closing times and contact information in these search results. So these are the common advantages, but these are not the only advantages that you see by having the right local business markup. So let's hear it from Google itself, what they think or what they are saying are the benefits of having the proper markup on your local business website. So these are the Google local business guidelines for schema. So let me read out what it says. It says, when users search for businesses on Google Search or Maps, search results may display a prominent knowledge graph card with details about a business that match the query. So what we saw currently in these examples, this is not the knowledge graph, this is a map result. So what Google is saying that if your business is the only business that matches that query, you may appear in a knowledge graph as well. So that's one more advantage of having the local business schema on your website. Let me read further. When users query for a type of business, for example, best restaurants in NYC or best NYC restaurants, they may see a carousel of businesses related to the query. Now, what Google is saying that when people search for best XYZ in XYZ, then a carousel may also appear. Now, the carousel query is still in experimentation. It's in beta. And if you look down on this page, then Google mentions somewhere on the page that you have to apply to be qualified for the carousel entries. So the idea is that the map result is not the only result. So Google is still figuring out, or Google keeps changing what the ideal result is. So the idea is the better markup you have, the more appropriate markup you have, the more chances you have of appearing in rich results, which means more targeted visitors to your website, which is obviously a beneficial point. So let's go back to our website and start the process of adding the local business schema to our websites. An important point that I forgot to mention earlier is that if you are a local business owner, it's very, very important for you to sign up for Google My Business. It's a Google service similar to Google Search Console, but for local businesses, and it gives you a lot of interesting data on how your website is ranking and how it's performing in the search results. And this tool is specifically, or this service is specifically for local businesses. So it's highly recommended that you sign up and then add your local business to this tool. Okay, coming to our website again, now we will start the process of adding the local business schema to our website. So let's go to the settings and Schema Pro, because that's the tool or plugin that we're using to add the schema to our website. So this is the schema page, or this is where you will see all the different kinds of schemas that you've created for your website for different kinds of pages. It's empty right now, but if you create multiple schemas, you'll see all of them here. Since we are creating a new schema, the local business schema, I'll click the Add New button. So this is the schema selection page, which means you select the kind of schema you want to add to your page or post here. And as you can see, you have 15 types of schemas at the date of the recording to choose from. You have article, book, course, event, job posting, local business, review, person, product, recipe, service, software application, video object, FAQ, and how-tos. And don't worry about the rest of the schemas because we've done dedicated videos on all of these schemas and also a ton of other videos on Schema Pro and WordPress in general. So make sure you're subscribed to our channel and also hit that bell icon because we'll send you notifications about whenever we upload a helpful video just like this one, so you can improve your WordPress knowledge and grow your business with the help of these videos. So make sure that you're subscribed and also hit that bell icon. Okay, since we are selecting or creating a local business type schema, I'll select the local business option obviously and I'll click the next button. Now these are the targeting options and these help you decide or tell Schema Pro on what pages or posts should the local business schema or any other schema that you create with Schema Pro should go on. The targeting options are very powerful and they give you granular control, so you can add schema to any number of pages you like with complete precision on where the schema goes. So you have two types of targeting options. You have inclusion, that is enable on, and exclusion, which means exclude from. So the idea is you set up some basic rules and the pages that qualify in the inclusion rules get the schema and the pages that qualify in the exclusion rules do not get the schema. So let me show you all the options inside the enable or the inclusion options. So you have options to select all singulars, that means all the same pages and posts on your website. Front page, that means just the front page of your website. All posts, all pages, and specific targeting. Specific targeting lets you select pages, posts, categories, archive pages, or even separate taxonomies. So you can set up the schema on precise pages. Now this brings me to an interesting discussion because it's a little confusing on where you should add the local business schema on. If you search this on Google, you'll find all sorts of conflicting answers. In forums, somebody's saying you should add it to all of your pages and posts. Somebody says that you should have it only on your home pages, and a lot of mixed information out there. The only piece of information that comes from Google about this is when John Mueller, who is the Webmaster Trends Analyst at Google and is one of the faces that we see in Webmaster Hangouts, he did a Webmaster Hangout in January 2019, and one of the questions that he answered was, where should we add the organization or local business schema? So the answer that he gave us was, you can add it to a homepage, but few other pages are fine as well, because if you add it to a few more pages or extra pages, there's no penalty to that. So still there is no conclusive answer, but you can safely add the local business schema to your homepage and a few important pages of your website. For example, if you have a page about locations, you have a contact us, you have a services page. So on these few important pages, it is okay to add the local business schema on your website, but don't add it to all the pages. So just for this example, I'm going to choose the front page or the home page of my website. So I'll click the next button to go to the next step. Okay, so we've created the schema, so I'll click the complete setup button to go to the next step. Okay, so this is the edit schema page. This is where you configure the schema or how it appears on your pages and posts. So you do have a bunch of options here, so let me go through them quickly and explain what they are. The first option is to name the schema. So if you have multiple schemas on your website, maybe you have articles and local businesses, multiple types of schema, you can customize the name of these schemas so they are easily identifiable that why you created certain type of schema in the first place. So that's a helpful tool. The second option is the targeting options, which we already saw. So you have the option of customizing the targeting later at any stage. So you can come here and change these. The next option is the schema fields option. Now this is where the magic happens. This is where we configure what kind of data goes into the schema. And before we start with the actual fields, I'd like to tell you that we always include a link to a helpful blog post on our website about the specific schema that we are configuring. For example, we are configuring the local business schema. So this is a link to explain the process of adding the local business schema on your website, including all the details about the fields that you need to configure. So let me scroll down to the important section about the fields, and here they are. All the fields completely explained in user-friendly manner. So if and when I start explaining these fields to you and you feel that, okay, my explanation was maybe not that perfect, you can always go to this post and check these out because they are very helpful. And obviously, if you're not a Schema Pro user and you don't have access to this link, I'll leave the link for this blog post in the description of this video so you can check it out at any time. Now, coming to the fields themselves. Before we start configuring the fields, there's a few things that you need to understand. The first thing is how Schema Pro works. So Schema Pro works on a templating based system. The idea is that you create a template for schema and then you configure the schema in certain ways and then you add it to multiple pages and posts on your website. And Schema Pro automates a lot of schema filling in process by using a lot of metadata that you can have on your website. I'll explain that when we discuss the fields themselves. But for the local business schema, that's not really necessary because the schema we're adding to your website on any number of posts is going to be the same because the information about the local business is not going to change. So the idea is that we can configure all of these things right here and then just add the schema and not have to worry about changing the schema on the page itself or even configuring this schema on the post itself. So that makes the process a little bit easier because you can configure everything. And in the future, if anything changes about your business, you can just come here and make changes, and all the pages that you have the local business schema on will automatically get the up-to-date schema, and that means Google will also be able to access the up-to-date schema. So that makes your job a lot easier. So let's start with the fields themselves. So the fields are actually divided into two types. You don't see it here, but they are into two types. So the first type of fields are the mandatory fields. Now these are important or mandatory to fill in, because if you don't fill them in, Google will not accept your schema for rich results. And all the mandatory fields on the page are marked with the red asterisk sign here. So whenever you see this, you have to fill in that field. And the fields without the red asterisk sign are the fields which are optional or recommended by Google to fill in. Now, the idea is the more fields you can fill in or the more data you can provide to Google, it is much better because Google can understand your page better. So even if the field is optional, I'd highly recommend that you fill in, because you don't have to do the process manually again and again. You just have to do it once and all the pages will get the schema. So it's worth investing the few minutes of time that will take to configure it. So now that you understand what the fields are, let's go into the actual fields. But before that, one last thing that you need to understand is how Schema Pro helps you out with the automation process. So the fields themselves can be configured with 4 different kinds of variables. Let me show you an example. The business name. Let's take an example for business name. So business name is configured to site title. So let me show you all the options and then I'll explain what do I mean by 4 different types of variables. So when I click this, all these options come up. So the first option that I was talking about is the metadata. So you can have access to your site metadata and your post metadata. So these are the options that I was talking about. So you can map any of the fields to your website metadata, and Schema Pro will automatically or dynamically fill in that information from the metadata. That saves you a lot of time. The second type I was talking about is other custom fields. So if you're using already existing custom fields on your website, maybe using other plugins, or you've created them manually, you can reference those custom fields to schema. That is also a pretty handy feature if you use custom fields. The third option that I was talking about was the new custom field. So Schema Pro can also save data inside custom fields if you want to create some new custom fields. That means if you have to enter some fields in a post manually, Schema Pro will create custom fields for them and save the data in them. If you don't know what custom fields are, don't worry about it. That just means it's a text field that you can fill in, and then Schema Pro will save the data somewhere that you don't have to worry about it. The next and last option is fixed text. So for some fields, the option to configure them is pretty straightforward. You just have to enter text or some strings, and you can choose the fixed text option. So you can enter the information once and then it's done. You don't have to worry about custom fields and all that. So the 4 options you have access to. So let's start configuring these fields, and it will become clearer how to use these options when configuring schema on your website. So the business name was, again, I'll just take it back to site title. So let me emphasize once again, since the schema that we are adding to all the pages and posts is going to be the same, so we'll configure the entire thing here and not go on the page or post and configure the schema there. Everything that we want to add to our local business schema, we are going to configure right here on this page, because we are configuring local business schema. It's a case-by-case basis. For different schemas, we might take a different approach. So let's start with the fields themselves. The first option is the business name. Now, what is the name of your business? If it's the site title, which Schema Pro has configured it to, then you can leave it at that, or what you can do is choose one of these options. You have the option of fixed text. So you can just choose the fixed text option and write in your business name here. For simplicity, I'll leave it at the site title itself. The next option is the local business type. What type of business are you operating, or what type of business does this website represent? You have a bunch of options to choose from. I'll show you the options so you can see them. And you have animal shelter, automotive, childcare, dentist, and a long list of options to choose from. Now, obviously, this does not cover all the different kinds of businesses in the world, but if your business falls into some of these categories or closely related to some of these categories, then select that one. Otherwise, general is fine. Choosing the general option is also fine, because if you choose any of these options, just pay attention to the screen right now. If I change any of these options, the fields below it do not change. That means for all the different business types, the rest of the fields are exactly the same. So if your business is not listed here, or your business type is not listed here, choosing general is absolutely fine. The next field is the business image field. And the business image does not mean just your logo, it can mean any image that represents your business. For example, if you have a prominent logo, you can showcase that. If you have a picture of outside how the business practice looks like, since it's a local business, you can use that. So any image that represents your business in the most authentic or personal way. To demonstrate, I'll just pick a logo here. So what I'm going to do is go to the business image option and choose a fixed image, since this is an image related field, and I'll have the option of choosing an image. I'll go click in the select image option, and I already have a logo uploaded on my website. I'll select that. I'll select it right here. And as you can see, it's now showing up next to the business image option. Again, if you have an image that represents your business even a better way, perhaps a picture of how your business looks like across the street, maybe you can use that as well. The next field to configure is the telephone number. Now, obviously, the telephone number is very important to have for a local business. And in the previous example that I showed, the telephone number was also showing up in the results directly on the page. So it's important to have the right telephone number here. So to configure it, I can go here and choose the fixed text option, since the phone number can also qualify as a text. So just for this example, I'm going to just put in a random number +1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. I don't know if that number is valid, but we'll find out. Now, the next field to configure is the price range option. So this represents, or this tells Google what kind of price range customers can expect at your local business. So you don't have to mention or describe in detail the price range you offer. You can just simply specify a range. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So again, I'm going to choose the fixed text option. And what I'm going to do is select the $$ and the $$ So it just shows that, okay, 2 to 3 figures is somewhat you can expect at this business. The next option is the site URL. Now, site URL obviously means the URL of your website, and it's already configured to the site URL. That means the URL of this particular website, which is perfect in my opinion, so I'm not going to change it. Now, next few options are about the address. So you have a street address option, locality, postal code, region, and country. So I'm going to configure this quickly because obviously you know what to do here. I'm going to choose the fixed text option for all of these, as for reasons I've already explained. So let me just quickly fill in these fields. All right, I've filled in all the fields, and just to clarify, for the country field, I did not choose the fixed text option. I chose the fixed option, and the drop-down list of all the countries was made available by Schema Pro, and I just chose the country from that. So whenever you are dealing with a country, that is what you need to do. Now, the next few options are about hours specification, and these are one of the most important things to configure and to get right specifically for local businesses, because based on that, Google shows the status of your business, if it's temporarily closed, if it's closed, open, and even the correct timings are being displayed in Google. So you have to get this right, and Schema Pro gives you a lot of flexibility to configure your timings perfectly. So let me show you how it works. So you have 3 options to choose from. You can configure the day of the week, you can choose opens and close times, and you can also enter split timings by using this button right here. What that means is if you operate on different days at different timings, you have the option to do so or configure that in Schema Pro. Even if you operate daily on different times, you have the option of configuring that. So let me share a couple of examples, and it will become very clear how we configure these, or how you will configure the hours specification in Schema Pro. So day of the week, what I'm going to do is go to the drop down menu and select the fixed options option from the drop down, and it will open up the day picker for me. So I have options to choose all the days that I work on. So for example, or for this demonstration, let's assume that we work 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. So what I'm going to do is click on Monday and then hold the Control or Shift key. Control for individual days, Control is now. So I'm holding down Control and clicking the days, as you can see. Or what I can do is just click on Monday and scroll down and hold the Shift key on my computer and just click here, and all the days are now selected. The next option is the opens or the open time of your business. So I'm going to select the fixed time again, and it will open up a time picker for me. So here I'll go and write in a time. So let's take example, I open at 9 a.m. So I'm going to enter 0900. It's a 24-hour format, so don't forget about that. So for the closing time, I'll do the same thing. I'll go to the fixed time option, and let's assume I close somewhere around 5 p.m. So that would be 1700 hours. So I'll click here and type in 1700, and that's it. So now Schema Pro will tell Google that Monday to Saturday, my business is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, for example, let's assume that on Saturday specifically, you open once again, at 6 p.m. and then close at 9 p.m. How do you configure that? So you can click this button right here and it opens or it adds one more option for you to configure the same fields once again. Now what you can do is select the fixed options option once again, and instead of choosing all the days, I'm just going to choose Saturday, and I'm going to choose the fixed time options once again on both the fields, and I'm going to configure it based on what the timings that we discussed. 6 to 9 would be 18 to 21. So I'm going to enter 1800 here and 2100 here. So let me recap for a second. Based on this information, Google will know that Monday to Saturday, I open my business from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays, I open again at 6 p.m. and close at 9 p.m. Now, this is very powerful because you can specify exact information about when your business opens or closes. So all you have to do if you want to add more timings or more specific details, then you can keep adding these more and more. And if you want to just delete or you accidentally click this button, just click the cross icon here and it will go away. Now the last option is the ratings option. So this will just add a star ratings on your website, which users can fill out. You cannot manipulate that. So these can be kinds of reviews that show up on your website, and they can also show up in the rich results if Google parses them and decides to show them up in the search results. It's up to Google's discretion. So this is all we needed to do to fill in the correct local business schema on our website. It's completely configured. So what I'm going to do is save these settings by clicking the update button right here. Okay, so settings are now saved, and if you remember, I added this schema only to the home page or the front page of my website. So I'll open up the front page and then we will test the schema if it is added correctly or not. Okay, so this is the home page of my website, and all that's left is now to test the schema that if it's added correctly and if Google recognizes it and will use it for rich results. So the process is that you open the Google Rich Snippet Testing tool and test the URL that you're testing the schema on. In this case, it will be the home page of the website, but Schema Pro has a handy feature. It adds a test schema button right here. And if you click this button, it will automatically open the Google Rich Snippet Testing tool and start testing the URL that you click the button on. So it saves you a bunch of time and you can quickly test a lot of pages to see if the schema is added correctly. So I'll wait for this process to complete and then we'll see if the schema is added correctly to our pages. Alright, the testing is complete, and as you can see, the page is eligible for rich results with a big green tick, and the local business schema is also correctly added and accepted by Google. And if you want to check out the details, you can click this drop down icon right here, and all the details that we added using Schema Pro are now showing up inside these options. So you have the URL, you have the postal address, you have the price range, and most importantly, the timings. Those are the most important things. Timing is being added perfectly to schema so that Google can display the up-to-date information about when your business is open, when it's closed, and even specific minute details about when you want to open your business and it. This is very powerful because it will help you attract the right customers at the right times. Okay, so this was all about adding the local business schema on our websites. So let me quickly recap and remind you all the things that we discussed. So we started with the benefits of the local business schema. We shared a couple of examples of the local business schema, how it benefits, what are the uses of it, and how it will affect your business. Then we created a local business schema with Schema Pro. We had a brief discussion about on what pages we want to add the local business schema on, and I gave you a basic, not a conclusive answer, but the most acceptable answer from Google. Then I showed you the targeting options and how they can help you configure the pages and posts that you want to add the schema on. In the end, for demonstration, I added the schema only on my home page, and then we went to the schema configuration, and then I showed you all the options you had inside Schema Pro to configure schema to your liking. And then we went to the actual fields and I showed you how powerful and how easy it was to configure the exact information you wanted to show to Google. And then I showed you how to use Schema Pro to add the appropriate information to the schema so Google can identify and have the right information about your business. And with Schema Pro, as I showed you, it was very, very easy. All you needed to do was choose in the right fields, just enter the right information and save. And then we tested the schema out, and as you can see right here on the screen, the schema is added perfectly to our pages and posts, and now Google can parse this information and you can start appearing in rich results very quickly. So that was it, guys. That was the video. We covered everything about the local business schema, but if you think one of your questions has not been answered yet, leave it in the comments. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video. And if you like this kind of content and you want to level up your knowledge about WordPress or schema, make sure to hit the subscribe button because we create a lot of helpful content just like this. And make sure to hit that bell icon as well, because then you'll get notification about whenever we upload something like this and helpful content like this. And why won't you watch more videos like this, right? They help you out. And if you're not a Schema Pro user, then what are you waiting for? After all this helpful information I shared with you, you should be buying it right now. So I'll leave a link down in the description to check out Schema Pro. So head on to the website, wpschema.com. Check out some amazing products that we, Brainstorm Force, make for WordPress. We make the Astra theme, we make Schema Pro, and a bunch of other amazing WordPress related products. So that was it. This is goodbye for now. Once again, you were listening to Yuvraj from Brainstorm Force, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and stay safe.